Hello and welcome to Realms Edge Gaming. I thought in this episode we could do something a little bit different, and so what it is I thought we could take a look at the latest issue of White Dwarf and have a bit of a flick through, see what kind of things there are, as always particularly focusing on the Age of Sigmar section, because at the moment White Dwarf and Games Workshop are doing something quite interesting, and it's called Flashpoint. So what it is I think they started from last issue, which was issue 461, where they're going to focus on a specific point within the Broken Realms story and kind of zero in on it and focus on kind of adding a bit more depth, I suppose, to either the narrative arc or a specific battle, or a kind of bit of lore to do with the story. And this month is going to focus on Book 2, I suppose, of Broken Realms. It's going to be the techless one, because there's quite a lot on the Ossiarch Bone Reapers, Flesh Eater's Courts, and also the Lumineth. So without further ado, let's take a look. Straight away we've got the picture there, we've got the Flesh Eater Courts. And in this issue there was loads of different things that were available for the computer. So there were different games that you could have a go with and download as well, but not something I've done at the moment. Got our contents here. Again, this is kind of where we'll be focusing with the Flashpoint and the Age of Sigmar section. Got our contact, some beautifully painted Kurnoth hunters there. Kind of reminds me that I need to get working on some Sylvaneth as well. For those of you that don't know, I used to play, as they were called, Wood Elves back in the world that was, and I suppose with the kind of the trailer that we've looked at recently regarding book 4 of the Broken Realms thing, where it looks like it could be a Kurnothi on the front, it kind of reignited my interest for the Sylvaneth. Some more beautifully painted models. We've got some colour schemes, some Necrons, so kind of spotlight on someone who's done a small force there. We've got some of the paint schemes, some of the models as well, and a little bit of the kind of background lore that they decided to create around those. Worlds of Warhammer. Now this is focusing on Space Wolves. So not something we're going to particularly kind of linger on, but in the past there have been some really interesting articles they've had about the kind of pronunciation of certain words, the derivation of some of the words, how they've created them, and also a kind of timeline to do with Age of Sigmar as well. So we'll move swiftly on with this. Got Warhammer 40,000 section, lots of Eldari. Here we go, and here it is. So a really nice bit of artwork to start us off. We've got the Flesh Eater Courts and the Ideneth Deepkin. Now it's a really nice piece of work, but I'm not entirely sure why they use this one, because as I said before, our kind of focus has been the Flesh Eater Courts, Ossiarch Bone Reapers, and the Lumineth as well. So it's an interesting piece of artwork that they've used there, but one that I don't think entirely illustrates what the issue is about. So this is the second part of a series about the vertiginous peaks set in the Realm of Light, and it's all about how the Ossiarch Bone Reapers, kind of under the command of Arkham the Black, try and recruit, I suppose, the Flesh Eater Courts to help them with their kind of attack on the Lumineth. And the Flesh Eater Courts, for the most part, kind of go along with it. They really think they're helping, but things take a bit of a darker turn. So if you don't want any spoilers, if you want to leave the video here and maybe come back to it, I'm not sure whether the tech list book for Broken Realms is going to go into a little bit more detail about this. But basically what happens is they start using the Flesh Eater Courts as a resource really for the bone constructs, and the poor Flesh Eater Courts think that they're really just donating wood and resources to help build things, but little do they know that they are actually paying the tithe. And this article kind of provides some of the background, some of the rules to create some of these scenes. As I said, last month went into quite a lot of detail with the lore and introduced the characters, and this one's some more of the battle plans that allow you to kind of recreate narratively those battles between the Ossiarch and the Flesh Eater courts. I know 2 of those armies definitely going to be in the tech list book, which I'm really looking forward to seeing released. Now, I am going to do a video specifically on this one, but this continues the story of Kaiser van Brecht, the Lord Veritant of the Anvils of the Heldenhammer, and it continues this story from Book 1 Marathi. So in Book 1 Marathi, we know that he's captured by the Corsairs, and then he's rescued by a shadowy figure. Well, this story continues from that point, and kind of lets us know what happens to him next as he tries to alert Sigmar, because as we know at the moment, the Stormcast Eternals have been stopped from being zapped back up into the sky to Azir to alert him, so that he knows that Marathi's betrayed them. Anvilgard has fallen and become Har-Koron, and he doesn't know how kind of dire the situation is at the moment. So this continues with the story as Kaiser van Brecht, as he's taken to Ulgu, and what happens to him. So there will be another video kind of dropping that really focuses on this story, and we talk a little bit more in depth about it. Because I have to be honest, like, I think these Flashpoint sections are really, really good, but it's a shame, you know, if you don't buy the magazine. I know this one sold out super quickly. You kind of do lose a bit of the story. I'm kind of hopeful that the Book 2 Broken Realms tech list does, or Book 3 Be'lakor, no spoilers there, does kind of focus in on the story, because it is a really interesting one, and I do think it's kind of a big part in the narrative arc. So if you don't read it or don't see it, you kind of have missed a chunk of what happens. It's a bit of a clue there with the Lost in Shadows title. And we've got a rather flattering portrait of Marathi there too. So this is the battle report for the article, and we are focusing, as we mentioned before, on the Ossiarch and the Flesh Eater courts and some of the key players in that. It says here how the previous article last month influenced the ideas behind these, and there is the battle report and some of the kind of key war scrolls for the figures involved. So we've got Zaramos, who's the Ossiarch, and we've got Vashorn, who is from the Flesh Eater courts. I won't give any spoilers as to who wins the battle, but it's a really interesting battle report. 2 nicely painted armies as well. Be really, really careful not to show the page where they kind of reveal who wins. So I'll skip a couple of pages there. Here we go. Quite a closely fought one. And that's the page I will skip. Then we've got some rules of engagement here, which focuses on the design and evolution for solo playing, something which has become, you know, a much bigger kind of area of the game, I suppose. What with lockdown, people haven't been able to go out and play games, so there are some different rules here to allow you to play kind of solo missions. I know some of them have been presented on the Warhammer community website, which is, you know, a really welcome idea for those of us that can't kind of go out and play games at the moment. I will talk a little bit about this because it's to do with the Starblood Stalkers and Kagbra's Ravagers. Even though it's Warhammer Underworlds, we know that we can use these within our AOS games, and they have both been released now. They both look really cool as warbands as well. So a couple of Path to Victory articles about how to play those specifically, I suppose, within the Warhammer Underworld setting. Then lastly, we've got a bit of a story about the Duardin of the Ironworld Arsenal. So it's from Black Library. I've not had a chance to read the story yet, but I think it's a nice touch, you know, to have the story within the things. You get a chapter over time. A nice Spirit of the Mountain there. And then the kind of last thing I'm going to kind of mention about is this. So next issue is Battle of Teapot's Eye. I'm guessing that's going to be a Seraphon focus. So it'll be interesting to see if that kind of is going to be part of the Flashpoint, if it's going to tie into how the Seraphon maybe link into the Broken Realms narrative, because we know the armies that are featured in Teclis, they haven't announced the ones that are in Be'lakor, or further editions of the Broken Realms story. So I hope you enjoyed that, just a quick flick through of the issue. If it's something you'd like me to kind of do for the next issue of White Dwarf, more than happy to do that. Or if there's an article that you've seen that you'd like me to maybe go into a little bit more depth, again, I'd love to do so. And as always, speak with you in the comments below. Thank you very much for joining me. Really look forward to talking with you in the comments. If you've not already subscribed to the channel, if you could do so, that would be amazing. And yeah, thanks for joining me. Speak soon. Goodbye.